Hello and welcome back to my channel. We are in my Emilia Zoo and we are playing Planet Zoo. We are finished with the inside of this beautiful building. And as you can see, we have lots going on. We have guests already visiting. Beautiful looking straight down at all this stuff. Look at that. I would visit there if I were a guest. Very light, very airy. Now in this episode, I struggled. And I'm going to be talking a lot more through this episode because I think it's worth a voiceover. So I start with the basic white tile here for glass. And it does take a minute because it is a large building. But it is to make it more bright, but also as a base. Now my goal was to be very clever and make the big swooshy building in Australia. And I never can say its name. I mess it up and I always have to restart my recording, so I'm not going to try. But I think, it's the Opera House in Australia. Now here I'm using the technique of using the pillar and you connect the pieces that are not on the grid to it so that you can do many things to it, such as spin it, which is what I'm doing now. So my goal, of course, was to make the big arches. And as you can see, it became quite the task. So we're just going to watch here for a little while as it does its thing. So here I'm just separating them from each other so I can use them as their own arches. And I realized right away that these are wonky. They aren't far long enough. They don't go from edge to edge, which is annoying. And they are a little slightly curved, but I go ahead and make a go of it. I'm like, you know what? Maybe it won't be exactly the same, but we'll go. So I start making the arch and I go a little overboard. And then I just started kind of playing with it. I was like, well, maybe I'll just make something different. I can still make something unique on the top here. And as you can see, I'm just fiddling with it quite a lot and then I back it up. I don't like it. So I try again. So, okay, here we go again. And I thought maybe a little bit more separated look, kind of like a woven basket. They do a lot of art in those areas. And I thought maybe I could simulate that a little bit and just make something creative. But as we go along, it just doesn't work for me. And it kind of actually looks more like a bug to me, like a little roly-poly. Or a very large roly-poly. And I'm trying to get a little separation. And then I realize, oh, this kind of looks cool. This looks like a flower to me. And so I go ahead and select these other ones, desperately trying not to select the roof. I'm telling you guys, this was quite the struggle. Got rid of those, selected these, and started playing with that to make it look like a flower. Now I did like the flower a lot, actually. However, I did feel that it was a more Indonesian, South Asian kind of feel to it versus Australian and New Zealand feel to it. Not that they don't have beautiful flowers, it didn't sit right with me. I do like it a lot though. I think it turned out really pretty. So I go ahead and I take that and set it over there because I kind of wanted to keep it, but I also kind of didn't want to because it just wasn't quite what I was looking for. So then I start again. I told you guys this was a struggle for me. So then I went ahead and made sure there was no gaps. Made sure that my ends were straight as I could get it. made sure they went end to end. And I was so sure. I was like, this is gonna work. This is gonna make it. Got my pillar in there, made sure that they were attached and straight, and started my curve. Now, I didn't do too much because I felt like I had overdone it before. And unfortunately, because it's already on the roof, I couldn't just take the bulldozer and go for it. So I had to delete it one at a time, which did take time. And then I had a hard time selecting it because I kept selecting other things. And it was just a pain in my booty. See, just like crazy. Selecting the roof, selecting the trees underneath, selecting everything, and I couldn't take the bulldozer to it. And so then I was like, okay, fine, I'll move you. And this weird little piece I decided to disconnect. And then I was finally able to disconnect them from each other, which means I can move them independently. And then try to make my arches. And you can see my ginormous flower in the background still. So I made more narrow arches this time, and I thought this was it. I thought we had it this time. Even it out, made my little arches. I was gonna close the gap there at the top with more plaster pieces, but I decided against it and just to use them together like that. And then I was liking this. This was looking good. I was like, maybe I'll angle them down. And then I just started pulling them back. And it did kind of look a little not quite as I hoped, because it is kind of chunky. But I mean, I liked it. I like it. It started to look the way I wanted it to look versus how it was looking before. Try to get multiples in over here. Same process. Looks great, right? It does. It does. No, it really does. It's just not what I wanted. And it just turned into a big pain in the booty as we get moving along here. By the way, I work with children, so for a living. And so my term booty is going to be there because I can't help my filter. So then here I'm just kind of trying to like get rid of all the weird little nooks and crannies here, but then it's like destroying the outside of them. And I work tediously at this for a very long time. Now this is sped up. This whole video is like 14 minutes long, but in reality, because this is sped up, it actually took me over an hour to get this final result that you'll see here at the end. Yeah, it's a thing. And then I was like, okay, we need something here in the middle. Parts of this, which was a chore in itself, because I just simply could not keep deleting the wings and stuff out of the middles because it just kept destroying the outside of it, and it was just like driving me nuts. I tried to angle it, and then I was like, never mind. As you'll see, I'll delete that. Who knows, maybe it would have worked easier if I hadn't. Probably would have been less work for me. And then I noticed the gaps, which just drives me nuts. So I had to fix that. Whoa, I don't know what was going on with my zooming. As you're going to see, we're whipping in and out. I don't know why it suddenly decided not to just zoom in and out gently. It bugged me in the game when I was doing it. It's bugging me now. I'm sure it's bugging you. But unfortunately, that is just how it happened. Now, the reason I'm showing you the struggles that I had with this situation is because I really would like you guys to see that it is okay to have a struggle. It is okay to really fuss with it. It's okay to have big dreams and not succeed in them, but make compromises as you go. And I think it's important that you are able to be flexible with yourself and your understand your building abilities, because in reality this was quite the challenge for me. As you can see, not a lot of people actually post their challenge when they're building. In the videos, they post the successes. They don't show what went wrong or what was difficult for them, for whatever reason. You know, maybe they just feel like people don't want to see it, and who knows, maybe people don't want to see it. Maybe you've already clicked away at this point. I'm just talking to myself. I don't know. But, you know, I think it's important to see the process too. You know, that it is not just easy. It's not just snap and it's done. You know, it is a challenge at times, and it is worth the challenge. So I did make it like this. I did kind of like it, and I was like, okay, now the bottom parts. So I started working on the bottom parts, and it just is tedious. It's just a nightmare. And I honestly, reflecting back, I should have just dropped the ceiling, like made another layer of the ceiling and dropped it down to cover it, because realistically, there's plenty of air space, and I could have just done that and not gone through this process, because it looks fast and easy on here. It took me a very long time in real life. Yeah, it just, and it, you know, you're maybe gonna understand with myself. It made me almost cry when I was done, because I actually, as you're gonna see, decided I did not like this at all, and I changed my mind again on my design. But you're gonna see what I did. I'm not gonna spoil it too much, because I already kind of did. But yeah, just tedious. Look at this. Every little block, just chinka 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 chinka. And this was long. This took me forever. And as you can kind of see, it's starting to warp what it looks like on the top. And that's ultimately what killed it for me, because I did all of this work on the top, and then I did all this work on the bottom, and then it looked bad. And we're gonna look at the top here in a second. And you can see it's all messed up. It doesn't look good. It's all jankety. It just is there. And I snapped. I was like, I'm done doing this on video. And I took my giant ones and I redid them. And this is what we came up with. And this is the end of the video, believe it or not. Like I said, this took me over an hour just to get to this point. And it obviously still needs a lot of work, but I think it looks pretty darn good compared to what we had going on. I'm kind of thinking it looks theater-ish, like the old school theaters where they had the lights in the middle, and I think I'm going to kind of do something that looks like a flower, like an orange flower in the middle or something there. I really appreciate you watching the struggle and sticking with me through this. I really do appreciate that. I hope you got kind of a giggle out of my struggle, because, you know, you have to just laugh at your struggles sometimes. I really hope you come back for the next one. We're going to finish up the roof. Hopefully it won't be a struggle. But I really do appreciate your time, your help, and everything you can give to me. Thank you for tuning in. And I hope you have a beautiful day, night, or whatever time it is for you. Bye.